Good evening. I'm Brian Haggerty, the board chair of the El Paso Community College Board of Trustees, calling this meeting to order. It's going to be also amended as an emergency meeting because we had an issue come up. So anyone who would like to follow along on the internet, you can go to the YouTube channel and refer to the link www.youtube.com/user/go-EPCC. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Before we get started, could we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone. Belle, could you take the roll call?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Ms. Nájera will not be joining us today, nor Ms. Pina, and Ms. Sanchez will be here shortly.
Okay, 1.4, Belle.
Item 1.4, approval of minutes. There are none. Item 1.5, welcome to guests and staff members. Item 1.6, open forum. There are none, Judge. Item 1.7, presentations by individuals, groups, and organizations. Item 1.7.1, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
Just very short, I really don't have anything to report. I would just like to thank President Serrata for his town hall meetings and Vice President Smith for his brown bags. Very informative. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Section 1.8, communications. Item 1.8.1, discussion and review regarding data, statistics, policies, and general information related to El Paso Community College by the Board of Trustees.
Chair Haggerty and members of the board, I'd like to call on AVP Primizic. Blaine Primizic is our Associate Vice President of Workforce and Continuing Education. He is going to provide the board with an update on our C campus as well as our student parent resource centers on each of our respective campuses. AVP Primizic, please.
Thank you, Dr. Serrata. Chair Haggerty, members of the board. I'm going to step a little bit out of my normal lane. I want to present today on a C campus grant and talk a little bit about a number of the student parent initiatives that have been going on around the college. C Campus is something I got involved in directly as a co-director back when I was a dean. The grant has been ongoing.
I apologize for my ignorance, but I don't understand C Campus.
Oh, yes, and totally my fault, and I have the whole acronym spelled out on the next slide. So I will absolutely clarify that for you. But across the title slides, what I want to emphasize throughout all of this is just the focus that the college has put on the needs of student parents. This is something we're seeing across the state, we're seeing nationally. We've had a very long time and strong partnership with the YWCA Paso del Norte. And then internally, you'll see the logo for our family-friendly campus committee and our student parent resource centers. I'll just preemptively thank every single member of the cabinet because all of these initiatives have brought us all together, and all of the campus deans who have stepped up and provided a tremendous amount of support. Dr. Serrata, for all of your support in building out the student parent resource centers. So a little bit of an overview of where we're heading, and then for the very long acronym. So the Department of Education in the early 2000s began releasing a federal grant to subsidize childcare, and it's called the Child Care Access Means Parents in Schools, or C Campus grant. This is a very competitive grant. We were awarded in 2019. They're 4-year awards. We're actually in our 5th year because of a 1-year extension that I'll explain in a bit. But our award was $250,000 per year over the 4 years, so a total of $1 million. Roughly $190,000 per year was dedicated specifically to subsidizing childcare for our students. The eligibility must be a student enrolled with the college, part-time or full-time, and Pell eligible. And we tried to make it as easy to qualify as possible, and we tried to deliver as much childcare service as possible to those students, because we know outside of class you need to work. You need time to study. So there are a number of reasons that even a part-time student's going to need that full-time care. We all know what happened is we got started. The award came in with the fiscal year, so October of 2019. We updated the MOU with the YWCA through the rest of the fall. The board approved everything in January, and so in February of 2020, we began recruiting our first cohort of students into the grant, and we all know what happened in March 2020. We went directly into the pandemic shutdown. And so the years of the shutdown meant that we were really lower enrollment, reduced capabilities through the YWCA as well. Some of their facilities had to close. The social distancing kicked in, that reduced capabilities. So we wound up with a tremendous amount of money left over. And so as the grant came to a close, we petitioned to carry on 1 more year, a no-cost extension, and that was awarded. I'll be honest, we also wrote a new grant proposal last summer just on the chance we might get funded for another 4 years. When I said it was competitive, there were close to 150 applications from colleges and universities nationwide. The Department of Education funded fewer than 20. And unfortunately, we were not one of them in the last round. Judge Haggerty?
What happens if you don't get another grant?
We lose the funding. And so...
I know, but the program that is funding now.
So we still have the partnership with the YWCA, so we have the 2 on-campus facilities here, one at Valle Verde, and then their other early learning academy at our Trans Mountain campus. There are other funding sources that we can recommend students to, so Workforce Solutions Borderplex also has state resources that can be applied to subsidize childcare. Sometimes we run into waiting lists on that side. Carl Perkins also presents money to help with childcare, although it's a little more restricted in when the student can take advantage of the childcare. They have to be in class at the time. So it's a really good question, and it's a devastating outcome when someone loses. Mr. Jackson?
Yeah. In funding, is it incremental? I mean, if you say only have 225, you can identify where you are short this. If you're short 50,000, then maybe this, or does loss of funds just really affect the whole thing?
It does. The grant is a finite period of time, and you can expend your funds within that time, and once the grant concludes, we have to close it out. Any unspent funds go back to the federal government, and if we're not refunded or funded again for a next period, then we have to seek those other sources of aid for students.
What's the outlook?
We're hoping really good. So one of the conditions of the grant, we have to attend a national conference where C Campus is discussed. I just came back about 3 weeks ago from the National Coalition of Campus Child Care Centers. There's a lot of acronyms involved in child care. On the interesting side, things got better. I was one of 6 males out of a conference of 200 individuals. It still kind of tells you stereotyping in child care. About 50 of us were there specifically for the kind of prep sessions for how to get ready for a next application. Some of the colleges and universities in that room had lost their funding. And so unfortunately, it's a very common occurrence. The college had a C-Campus grant early in the 2000s, were funded for 4 years, unfortunately lost the funding, went a period of time before anybody reapplied, and actually it was Robert Elliott, our Director of Grants Management, and back then Isela Robinson, our grants manager, who approached me and were looking for someone to join in the application, and so we teamed up and did that. So we're going to try really, really hard because we know how important this is for students. But we also know all those colleges and universities who didn't get funded in last summer's round are going to be back competing with us. And on top of things, the federal government has not released a final budget for the year, and that has held up appropriations to release the next grant application. So we can't truly get started until the application is posted.
What is your outlook or for alternate funding? I mean, you said we're looking around. I mean, that's potential 1 to 10. Where do you put all of that?
In terms of having access to other funding, a 10. In terms of access to the level of funding that we currently have, I'd say a 5. Because we have to go through other partners. Yeah. We don't have direct control over those funds, and
that's a lot of money.
It's absolutely a lot of money. And so
we can't do a GoFundMe page.
I think that would probably have to be a long cabinet discussion. So, but we certainly are going to give it every effort. We have a lot of good feedback from the reviewers from last year. It was that feedback from a previous attempt that guided us for the successful application. Just this afternoon, we had someone from Ascend at the Aspen Institute just kind of throw out a casual offer to help us prep for the next application. So we're going to take advantage of all the help that's offered and do what we can. Also, to speak to the point of outlook, kind of off topic, but the city is in the final round competition for the EDA Recompete grant. There is a lot of focus through that on wraparound support services for all the trainees that'll be educated through this grant, and that's pulling together a lot of the nonprofits, and child care is one of those primary subjects.
We can always create an early childhood development center.
No, absolutely.
Prepare future teachers and teach kiddos.
No, absolutely, and I'll be introducing our guest from the YWCA in just a moment, but not to put her too much on the spot, but I know they've been talking to us about wanting to expand into a facility at the Mission Del Paso campus. Not something that we've been discussing yet internally, but I know there's a hope on that side. I do want to kind of finish out a little bit of the background. When we price this out, and some of my discussion here are going to be lessons learned along the way as we rolled out this grant, we sat down and initially priced everything. The impression we had was that we would register a student into the program, they would keep their child in full-time care year-round. And so we priced out the grant to fund roughly 50 students and 50 to 100 children, depending on full-time or part-time drop-in care. What we find out is students don't really keep their children in care in that manner. We get a lot of stop-start. There's particular times in a semester they might take use of it. So at one level, we also haven't maximized use of all those funds that way. But I'll show you some data to that point in a little bit. Originally, we were subsidizing about 50 to 75% of the child care costs. Discussions with our financial aid office we began to realize that we were placing maybe too heavy a burden on some of our Pell-eligible students who had the least means to afford even the 25%. So we adjusted our subsidy range from 75 to 90%. To put that into perspective, the weekly cost for full-time care with the YWCA is roughly $120 a week. The grant will pay $108 of that. The out-of-pocket cost to the student is $12 a week. So that has really been life-changing for a number of our students. And I was well known at the near to Villa Verde Whataburger and got to know all of their folks and recruited one of their employees into the C Campus program, and she was already paying out of pocket to the YWCA the full amount. And the day that we let her know that she'd been accepted into the program and then she'd already paid for an out-of-pocket week up front, and when we told her that that week that she had paid now qualified her for the full month of childcare, she actually just broke down in tears right there at the register. So essentially, I do want to throw some more thank yous. So I'm one of the co-directors on the grant. My other co-director is Ines Lopez, the Executive Director of Financial Aid, and also deep thanks to Dr. Amaya. He's supported us all the way through, and all of the staff in financial aid who have really stepped up to help. Because despite all the different marketing techniques, flyers, geofencing, and things that we've done to try to get the word out about the grant, the most efficient way of getting students into the program has just been interviewing students as they're at the financial aid desk, doing their paperwork and applying and screening those students for childcare needs. But I'll come back to that in a little bit as well. And then Elizabeth Estrada, the Assistant Director of Financial Aid, has been phenomenal and is our honorary co-director. She has just done all the legwork to make this grant as successful as it's been. She's our primary liaison with the YWCA and all their learning academies. She does the data collection on the child care hours and everything. And so I want to point out just how important Elizabeth Estrada, or Liz, has been to this project. I mentioned our guests from the YWCA. So we have Rocio Castroita. She's the Chief Operating Officer for the YWCA.
Good afternoon. Do you want me to go ahead and explain? So at YWCA, we offer various services, but one of our main ones is educational programming for children. And the partnership with C Campus with EPCC covers providing services to 7 academies for early learning, which is our children from birth to 5 years old. And just so you know that based on the rating that the Texas system does through the workforce, we are a 4-star certification level at our AELs, what we call them that, which is our child care centers. We're very fortunate that EPCC has us at Valle Verde campus and Trans Mountain campus. And then we also do C Campus partnership through our after-school programming, because the students at EPCC have older children that need care for after school. So we're there at 45 different campuses over the city of El Paso. I do want to mention that we've been talking with Blaine, and we understand that the funding for C Campus is ending, and hopefully it's just a gap year that we're going to go through. And so our plans is to go ahead and transfer all those parents into what we call our We Care scholarship at YWCA. And that We Care scholarship is funded through the YWCA Foundation. So unfortunately, it doesn't cover at 75% subsidize of the fees, but it will cover between 33 to 35% of the parent fee. And hopefully once this grant ends, we can go ahead and continue to serving them with that small subsidy.
Oh, any questions, or Mr. Oxon?
Your four-star, you said you're a four-star institution?
Yes.
I do hope are you eligible for more stars, or is 4 stars the
No,
lowest?
that's the highest level that a childcare center can get. Yes. Any other
many-
questions?
How, you provide childcare, how long? I mean, does it start at 6 in the morning and go till 6 in the evening for a child? Or what are the hours? I mean,
It varies. So most of our centers are from like 6:30 to 6:30 p.m. Some of them are from 6 in the morning to 6:30.
so this is $120 covers that 5 days a week?
Exactly. So YWCA does depend a lot on funding to keep the fees for the community affordable. Just because in most cases, it is like a 12-hour day, and we gotta manage a lot of teachers and each director at each center so that we can be there caring for the children.
That, I guess y'all earned an attaboy out of all that.
I am sorry.
I said, I guess you earned an attaboy for all of that.
Appreciate it. You know, at YWCA, we have different services, and I'm always saying that being a teacher at our childcare centers, I think it's one of the hardest jobs and the most one that's so important because it's the building blocks that we're giving to the children so that they can be successful once they go into like their school age years.
And I want to add, I appreciate Ms. Castruita so much. We have a small committee that meets usually 3 times a year just to kind of update each other on where we at with enrollments and the grant and any concerns that might be coming up. There's a lot of reporting that we do. Ms. Castruita gets all kinds of random quick turnaround requests from me, and she just always helps me out, including things like I need pictures of your child care facilities so I can put it on the slide. And then just the partnership that we have with them. So the flyer that the YWCA has developed to go hand in hand with C Campus, you'll notice that, as Ms. Castruita said, they have some other funding that they can apply toward our C Campus recipients, which then picks up that final 10% of the cost. And so you'll notice the flyers advertising free childcare and not subsidized care. The other thing, to the point of the 4-star certification, Texas is one of the more stringent states on its childcare certification. And this certification speaks to the fact that this is education and this is a social development of the child. This is not daycare or babysitting, as some people sometimes will look at it. This speaks to the quality of the facilities, of the curriculum that's being taught, the integration of technology into the curriculum, the professional training for their staff and their teachers. And this applies to those early learning academies at the Valle Verde campus and the Trans Mountain campus. Something that's got kind of the nation's child care centers a little heated is the Department of Education is now requiring national accreditation from an agency to continue with the C Campus grant. And the YWCA has graciously agreed that if we're funded again, that they will seek that certification to comply with the Department of Education. So again, I can't thank everyone at the YWCA and Ms. Castruita in particular enough for the work they do. A little bit of the data. So the top part of the chart is just pulled from our annual, basically our annual reports to the Department of Education. And then thanks to Dr. Penley and particularly Sal Moreno, who's our student success data guru within institutional research. He pulled some 3-year graduation rates for us, and you'll notice the numbers are really, really small, but those are the pandemic years. That's right through the shutdown. But if those percentages continue the way that they do, it will speak very highly to the effect of this support. You'll notice at the bottom, for the 4 years of the grant that we have completed, 174 total unduplicated students have gone through. 28 have transferred to another university. 67 have graduated from us with a certificate or Associate of Arts. Almost all of our graduates are Associate of Arts under C Campus. And that's roughly a 55% transfer graduation rate within that time period. And so these are very motivated students, and their performance shows the GPAs you see above a 3.0 in each of the years. I've been looking at 2021, 2022, and I think the statistical term for it is wonky. I can't come up with an explanation for why the 2021-22 data looks the way that it does. It just doesn't follow the pattern as we emerged out of the pandemic. But 2022, 2023 really looked exactly what we had planned out in the grant and what we'd funded for. So 79 students enrolled throughout the year, 113 children served. The persistence, I did some hand calculations, so I take ownership of any errors there. The fall to spring persistence was 57 out of 65 students. The difference between that and the total number of students is under C Campus. We have a lot of students who join the program in spring and summer. And so, but you'll notice it's roughly an 80% fall to spring persistence rate across all the years, and even as the numbers increased. And so again, I think that speaks highly. And then to the point that 2022-23 begins to look like the budgeting plan that we'd created. It's over 34,000, almost 800 hours of childcare that were subsidized through that. To put it differently, I'd pulled out just our most recent March invoice from the YWCA. We had 34 students, and that's pretty common in any given month, 39 children receiving care, and an invoice of just over $12,000. And so that's the financial impact for these students every month that the grant means to them. One of the other things we do every year, and this is part of our annual reporting to the Department of Education, surveys go out to really evaluate how the students are responding to the program, the assistance they receive. We get a little bit of feedback over how the students feel it supported them. And so I've just kind of summarized some of the most common comments that we get back from the students. Predominantly positive. There's always some students that, and to the point about hours, wishing that we had longer hours, wishing that there were more locations. And it's something we might explore in the next round of application as well. Also to the hours question, in the original application, we had proposed using some of the funding to extend the hours at the Valle Verde campus, and then if that pilot was successful, extend hours at the Trans Mountain campus to 9 p.m. With the YWCA, we determined that we needed a minimum of 12 students to make it financially feasible. And not only did the pandemic have an impact, the popularity of online courses has been slowly shrinking our evening student population. And so we were never able to get the 12 children enrolled that we needed. We would start it, not get enough students, and have to close those hours. So we keep trying it. And hopefully at some point we will build a cohort and be able to keep the extended hours, but it is something that was funded. But overall, the students love being able to have their children close to them, especially when it's an on-campus childcare facility. It's the peace of mind knowing that from day to day they don't need to figure out which family member will be taking care of their children or whether they'll have childcare at all. And then the amount of time and extra money and resources that it frees up for them is very significant as well. So that finishes up the data portion of C Campus. And then I wanted to connect it just to some of the other student-parent-focused initiatives that have sprung up since. I and many of our cabinet members have joined Dr. Mitchell, Lucia Rodriguez, our Director of Student Success, in the Family Friendly Campus Committee. It's gone by a couple of names, so sometimes I slip. But this committee has been really focused on exploring data on our student parents on campus, trying to uncover needs, and trying to design supports to meet the needs of those students as a population and increase their student success levels. One of the ideas that's come out of this, and again, thank you to Dr. Serrata, Dr. Smith, and Dr. Mitchell for all the support behind this, and this is where I was saying each of the campus deans also really got behind this and dedicated some space on their campuses to these student-parent resource centers. The first opened up almost a year ago, and the idea was to create space on campus where a student could bring their child with them. We have a lot of our labs and spaces on campuses for various reasons that are not accessible to children. And so sometimes a parent can't attend a meeting with their study group, or they can't work on a paper in one of the computer labs. So these resource centers allow them to bring their child with them. The child has a place that's safe and secure to play. The parent is with them the whole time. So these are not child care substitutes. The parent stays with them, but there is workspace. Somewhere in some of the pictures, you'll see some computers in the background. Also, many of these have lactation spaces built into them, and there's work right now on ordering a new group of lactation pods that'll be located at 5 locations, 4 of the campuses plus 1 here at the ASC as well. And so really trying to put forward this idea that student parents are both recognized, we see them, they're welcome, and we're dedicated to supporting them and the extra challenges they face as a parent. It's one of the interesting things in the C Campus data. In most years, except 21, 22, for reasons I'll never be able to explain, you have about an even split of married families enrolled in C Campus and single parents enrolled in C Campus. And so that was also one of the more interesting data points that came out of this. But from out of this, Ms. Rodriguez began working with Ascend at the Aspen Institute. This is a student-parent focused project trying to build greater success and identify and meet the needs of student parents. The Aspen Institute has a toolkit for student parents, and Ms. Rodriguez got the Family Friendly Campus together to begin exploring use of that toolkit, and a lot of it was survey data and some institutional data that we began to collect. That led to a $75,000 grant from Aspen and the Post-Secondary Leadership Circle, or PLC Activation Fund. I know Dr. Maya, Dr. Mo, and myself and Ms. Lucia Rodriguez were just on a PLC meeting just a couple of hours ago. That's provided us some consulting help in building a deeper survey of student-parent needs on campus. It's going to lead to a dashboard that's being built out in Power BI. Hopefully by about midsummer, that actually should be ready to go. There's already 600 respondents on the survey, so we're getting close to 3% of the EPCC student population that's been surveyed for their needs as student parents. The grant is also supporting what are called 2-gen initiatives. So embracing the whole family and bringing them into the college. It may be the student parents and their children, it may be extended family that we want to bring and recruit into the college. And so 2 examples of the 2-gen activities, and the last thing I want to share with you. The family college idea, this kind of germinated before the shutdown, and we had some scheduling built out, and the shutdown just derailed that. But the idea has been picked up. Dr. Maisha Pagel, the Valle Verde campus dean, Dean Daniel Guerra, soon to be doctor, but took the lead on that with Lucia Rodriguez and a group of faculty at the Valle Verde campus. The idea was, as an alternative to evening childcare, offer the academic courses for the parents, and if you sign up for the parents, the grant is going to pay the tuition for the children's college classes that go with it. So the parent brings their children to college and introduces them to courses and activities, introduces them to the college and a college-going culture, while the parent's able to continue their academic coursework and their degree pursuits. It's in its infancy. I think we had 2 students this time around, so it's a slow start, but it's a good start. It's the first time we've been able to implement it. And then another example of the 2Gen activity, Avance is a program that has a near 50-year history in El Paso. Ms. Rose Galindo, one of our reading faculty, picked up the Avance program, brought it to EPCC, and then created a twist. It's the Avance to College. So Avance is a parent-child education program. It's parenting classes. It's teaching parents to be the first teacher of their child, teaching them how to better interact with their child. So sometimes it's sharing parenting ideas and skills. Sometimes it's activities where you build toys and create toys for your children. It runs the gamut of activities. Workforce Solutions Borderplex was kind enough to deliver some childcare money to facilitate these parents joining the classes and having a place for their children while they participated. But where Ms. Galindo took Avance one step further was to connect these students to other programs running within the college. And so our Center for College Access and Development has our ESL Bridge program. So bring these parents in, provide them with some low or no cost, in many cases, classes through the Center for College Access and Development. And there I want to thank as well Dean Susana Rodarte and our director for CCAD, Ms. Mari Carmen Casavantes. But bring those students in, provide them the language and literacy skills, some college prep skills, and then at the same time they're doing this, give them advising into either credit ESOL programs or an academic degree plan. And so it's a recruitment pathway right into the college. So I just wanted to put C-Campus into a larger context. There's a tremendous amount of work being done for student parents right now. It's, depending on which survey we've used, 25 to 50% of our students at any given point are student parents. And so it's a very significant population of the college that we serve. So with that, I thank you for your time and open to any questions.
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Keep us abreast on our grant.
I certainly will.
Section 1.9, Board of Trustees Business, item 1.9.1 and item 1.9.2 will be taken into executive session. Section 1.10, Board Reports, item 1.10.1, Treasurer's Report, no action is required. Item 1.10.2, President's Report. Item 1.10.2.1, Dr. William Serrata, College President, will update the Board of Trustees and audience on recent events that have transpired at El Paso Community College.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, Chair Haggerty, members of the board. I want to begin my report by wishing all of you a happy Community College Month. Thank you for your leadership and support, not only this month, but all year round. I'd also like to thank our faculty and staff for their terrific work for the college, for the students that we serve, and as well as our community. April is Community College Month, which celebrates the vital role of community colleges in providing accessible education, workforce development, and pathways. El Paso Community College has been proud to showcase the work we do every day and highlight this impact. Because of these efforts, the Marketing and Community Relations Department, under Jim Heine's leadership, has submitted over 25 media alerts and press releases, all of which have received positive news coverage on English as well as Spanish language media during Community College Month. In addition to the news coverage, you may have seen some of our many celebrations throughout the community. If you drove down I-10 between the 1st of April and the 15th, you probably noticed the arched lights along I-10 near downtown were shining in EPCC's signature teal color. Just as these lights illuminated I-10, EPCC lights a path to prosperity for our community. I'm pleased to announce that the college was again recognized with the Seal of Excelencia Award for serving Latino students. EPCC is one of only 39 colleges and universities nationwide that has earned this award. Excelencia in Education certified these colleges and universities for intentionally serving Latino students and demonstrating positive student outcomes. The Senior Adult Program, led by Director Mary Yanez, hosted the 2024 Grand Gallery of Senior Art in partnership with the International Museum of Art and EPCC's 46th Annual Spring Arts Festival. It is the 31st year that the exhibition is displayed in the South Gallery of the International Museum of Art through the end of April. The exhibit showcases over 60 student artists from the Senior Adult Program and over 90 pieces of art in mediums ranging from acrylics, watercolors, drawings, Chinese paintings on porcelain, and artistic welding. El Paso Community College is proud to announce the selection of Dr. Carrie Moe, Associate Vice President of External Relations, Communications, and Development, as one of 39 up-and-coming community college leaders to participate in the Aspen Institute's Rising President's Fellowship. These fellows were selected for their total commitment to student success and ability to lead change. Congratulations, Dr. Moe, for your commitment and dedication to the college. Several activities were planned district-wide this past week to celebrate Earth Day. Activities included Plant EPCC Jardines 2024 Garden at the Mission del Paso Garden Classroom, Earth Day and Cesar Chavez Day at the Valle Verde Campus Americana Village, Cleanup Day at the Trans Mountain Campus, and a sustainable fashion show at this year's Earth Day Market focused on the Queen of Tejano music, Selena. Students, faculty, and staff were all invited to the celebration and fun activities. We extend our appreciation to the faculty and staff responsible for coordinating these important and engaging events for our students and community in celebration of Earth Day. Congratulations to the students who presented their unique designs and the fashion technology program. Under the leadership of Dr. Maisha Pagel and sponsored by Microsoft, faculty from programs at all campuses organized Terra Week, a week-long summit to celebrate Earth Day and educate students on global sustainability. The week began with a panel discussion by local leaders on sustainable technological development and more than 20 other activities, including film screenings, a career and vendor fair, an Aztec cave hike, and workshops. On April 6th, the Division of External Relations, Communication, and Development hosted a retiree brunch where I was able to provide an update on the college. A message from Dr. Graham on behalf of the Board of Trustees was shared, and Dr. Moe announced the creation of a retiree network, which is an opportunity for retirees to remain active and connected with the college and with one another. This network will allow retirees to reconnect, hear EPCC updates, and participate in other relevant programming. Over 100 retirees participated in this event and enjoyed a delicious brunch prepared by Chef Nickerson, Chef Lugo, and our students in the Culinary Arts program. Dr. Moe and her team coordinated a successful event. Thank you to each of them. Year-round, the college offers activities for students and the public on our campuses. On April 8th, students in the community visited the college's campuses to view the historic solar eclipse. The Mission del Paso campus hosted an event in collaboration with NASA's GLOBE program. The Northwest Campus Library and the Rio Grande campus held activities as well. These events engaged students in science, and the college faculty were featured on local, regional, as well as international news. AVP Primozic was featured, so I want to thank him. Thank you to those involved that helped the college students and the community witness a historic eclipse. The Spring Arts Festival is in full swing. The Papagayo Talent Showcase was held on April 17th at the Vallaverde campus. Open mic featuring Jose Hernandez Diaz, author of Bad Mexican, Bad American poems, took place on April 17th at Pink Cloud. The Hector Padilla Literary Contest Awards took place on the 26th of April. Many thanks to Charlie Miller and Minerva La Vega and all of our college faculty and staff who made the Spring Arts Festival shine for the college every year. Congratulations to Ted Carver, theater director, and the EPCC students who performed for over 350 patrons in the EPCC production of Anna Karenina, the classic story by Leo Tolstoy, who was presented at the Trans Mountain Forum Theater in March. Students from the theater discipline and other disciplines handled a complex and demanding script in a manner that elicited high praise from the dynamic performances presented. The Rio Grande Library celebrated National Library Week by providing free books and snacks. Over 100 people participated in the event. The Vallaverde Library hosted an event for our students, employees, and community by grilling hot dogs outside the courtyard. Students also had an opportunity to participate in karaoke, play games, and win prizes. Our librarians assisted by sharing library information and handing out free books. Thank you to our library staff and librarians for organizing such a great event. The Trans Mountain Library also celebrated National Library Week, April 8th through the 12th, by hosting 3 events: a children's story hour for campus daycare, toddlers, a book and pizza giveaway, and a very successful and well-attended program on human trafficking in conjunction with the government discipline that included a student discussing her research paper on the topic alongside a renowned human trafficking expert. This April, the library is also participating in a campus Earth Day cleanup and the Student Art Club film series showing in the library. Dr. Christian Servin, professor of Information Technology Systems, and 2 computer science students and STS peer leaders presented at the Technical Symposium of the Special Interest Group in Computer Science Education program held in Portland, Oregon on March 20th through the 23rd. Their work entitled The Fingerprint Assignment, an Interdisciplinary Assessment for Computer Science 1 Education, was included in the NIFTY assignment session. Their work was considered among the top 6 assignments in the global computer science community for the current year, and the first time NIFTY assignments has accepted a community college assignment. Congratulations to all. Nadia Karachev, a computer science instructor, was recognized as the Change Makers Borderland Women in Tech ceremony at El Paso Country Club on March 27th. She was recognized for being a change maker in the region. The Change Makers is a collaborative event presented by Progress 321 and El Paso Matters that celebrates women in tech across the borderland. Congratulations to Ms. Karachev. EPCC Economics hosted the Women in Economics Watch Party, sponsored by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis on April 4th at the Vallaverde AST. The event was live streamed for approximately 25 students. Guest speakers included Oksana Leo-Yukena, economic policy advisor, who provided data about the shortage of women in the field. A breakout panel followed with her presentation to discuss what students could do with a BA in economics. The 2 guest speakers was Governor Adriana Kugler, who talked about her career as an economist, Michelle Luviano, manager for community engagement at the El Paso branch of the Federal Reserve Bank, and Cassandra Kuhn, also from the El Paso branch, attended the watch party. In her reflection about the watch party, Iris Hernandez, an EPCC economics student, wrote, "Before listening to the symposium, economics was perceived solely based on business by the audience. However, it is about diagnosing the country by studying the effects of certain events or decisions made by people and finding a cure component to revolutionize society into something more significant." Congratulations to everyone on this event. That concludes my report, Chair. I'm happy to respond to any questions that the board may have.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you, Chair.
Section 1.11, consent docket. This includes item 3.2, discussion and action to approve full-time staff and faculty recruited in positions funded by grants and/or contracts.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 2, Administration. Item 2.1, CAK, Local Policy for Appropriations and Revenue Sources, Investments Policy for first reading, review, and comment. Item 2.2, 24 TASB Policies for Revision of First Reading and Information Only. Section 3, Personnel. Item 3.1, discussion and action to approve full-time staff and faculty recruited in positions funded by the institutional budget.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 3.3, information items, resignations and retirements. No action is required. Section 4, financial services. Item 4.1, discussion and action on the approval to purchase from Dia Medical USA Equipment LLC 28 automatic external defibrillators, AEDs, for the El Paso Community College Risk Management and Safety Department in the amount of $84,800.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 5, physical facilities. Item 5.1, discussion and action on the approval of the selection of engineering firms for upcoming district-wide projects.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Okay, I don't know, it's probably for Mr. Lobato, but I noticed in looking at the vendor list, the first one is for something called engineering services to be provided, building envelope. What's a building envelope? I understand some of the other stuff.
Good evening. Sir, the building envelope would be the external portions of the building, for instance, some of the structural portions that may or may not be, what's the word I'm looking for? In need of improvement or repair.
Okay.
And also roofing and things of that nature.
Yeah, okay, and then the last one on here, you have, the next to last one. For the structural services, I noticed that everybody else, almost everybody else, with the exception of maybe one person from Odessa, the Millennium Engineering Group from Odessa, but the only organization vendor for structural work is out of San Antonio. There was nobody that would do structural work here in El Paso? No vendor?
Nobody from El Paso submitted, sir. And actually, there is kind of a shortage of structural engineers here in El Paso currently.
Okay,
Any other questions?
no.
Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 6, curriculum and instruction. Item 6.1, discussion and action on the approval to purchase from Laredo Medical Corporation audiovisual equipment, software, and cloud storage in the amount of $136,812.
Move to approve?
Second?
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion and action on the approval of the El Paso Independent School District, El Paso County Community College District, and Texas Tech University Health Science Center at El Paso Interlocal Agreement.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, can somebody explain to what does interlocal agreement specifically cover?
Mr. Uxer, this particular agreement simply formalizes a relationship that we've had with the ISD and Texas Tech University Health Science Center in providing a pathway for our nursing students from the early college high schools up through the bachelor's program at Texas Tech University. So it's basically a dual credit kind of agreement that details the responsibilities of each of the parties.
But it's not going to have any impact, negative impact on the current nursing program?
Correct. Yeah.
Any other questions? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 7, Student Services, Item 7.1, Discussion and Action on the Approval of Continuing Education Tuition Rates for New Courses.
Move to approve?
Second?
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Section 8, Community Services, there are none. Would the board like to go into executive session? Executive and closed session. The Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. 1, consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation or for any purpose authorized by law. 2, discussion about the value or transfer of real property. 3, discussion about a prospective gift or donation. 4, consideration of specific personnel matters. 5, discussion about security, personnel, or devices. Or 6, discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Item 1.3.1, discussion with legal counsel regarding the proposed contract termination of employee in the Division of Research, Accreditation, and Planning pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.2, discussion with legal counsel regarding the proposed contract termination of employee in the Division of Finance and Administration pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.3, discussion with legal counsel regarding the proposed contract termination of employee in the Division of Instruction and Workforce Education pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.4, discussion with legal counsel regarding utility easement to El Paso Electric Company for property adjacent to the Valle Verde campus pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.5, discussion with legal counsel to discuss college security measures pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 5:32.
We get started on the items that we need to vote on. I want to make sure everyone knows our next board meeting is on May 22nd at 4:30 in this very same room. Okay. Do we have a motion? Ms. Sanchez?
Sure. Oh, do we need to read the item in?
Item 1.9.1, discussion with legal counsel regarding utility easement to El Paso Electric Company for property adjacent to the Valle Verde campus.
The motion to approve the utility easement to the El Paso Electric Company for property adjacent to the Valle Verde campus contingent upon the closing of the Farmer Select property.
Move to approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 1.9.2, discussion and action to authorize the delegation of authority to Dr. William Serrata, college president, to make purchases that exceed $50,000 within applicable procurement laws, revise necessary college policies and procedures, and authorize emergency initiatives related to college security measures.
Move to approve?
Second?
Any discussion? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. There not being any more business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So much.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.